All right, this is Macbeth, Act 3. Banquo enters. Now you have it all. You're the king, the Thane of Cawdor, and the Thane of Glamis, just like the weird women promised you. And I suspect you cheated to win these titles. But it was also prophesied that the crown would not go to your descendants, and that my sons and grandsons would be kings instead. If the witches tell the truth, which they did about you, maybe what they said about me will come true too. But shh, I'll shut up now. A trumpet plays. Macbeth enters dressed as a king, and Lady Macbeth enters dressed as a queen, together with Lennox, Ross, lords, ladies, and their attendants.
Here's our most important guest.
If we forgot him, our big celebration wouldn't be complete, and that wouldn't be any good.
Tonight we're having a ceremonial banquet, and I want you to be there.
Whatever my highness commands me to do, it will always be my duty to do it.
Are you writing this afternoon?
Yes, my good lord.
We would have liked to have heard your good advice, which has always been serious and helpful at the council today, but we'll wait until tomorrow. Are you riding far?
I'm going far enough that I'll be riding from now until dinner, unless my horse goes faster than expected. I'll be back an hour or two after sunset.
Don't miss our feast.
My lord, I wouldn't miss it.
We hear that the princes, those murderers, have hidden in England and Ireland. They haven't confessed to cruelly murdering their own father, and they've been making up strange lies to tell their hosts. But we can talk more about that tomorrow, but when we'll discuss matters of state that concern us both. Hurry up and get to your horse. Goodbye until you return tonight. Is Fleance going with you?
Yes, my good lord. It's time that we hit the road.
I hope your horses are fast and sure-footed. And with that, I send you to them. Farewell.
Banquo leaves.
Everybody may do as they please until 7 o'clock tonight. In order to make your company even more enjoyable, I'm going to keep to myself until supper time. Until then, God be with you.
Everyone exits except Macbeth and his servant.
You there. Let me have a word with you. Are those men waiting for me?
They are waiting outside the palace gate, my lord.
Bring them to me.
The servant exits.
To be the king is nothing if I'm not safe as the king. I'm very afraid of Banquo. There's something noble about him that makes me fear him. He's willing to take risks, and his mind never stops working. He has the wisdom to act bravely, but also safely. I'm not afraid of anyone but him. Around him, my guardian angel is frightened. Just as Mark Antony's angel supposedly feared Octavius Caesar. Banquo chided the witches when they first called me king, asking them to tell him his own future. Then, like prophets, they named him the father of a line of kings. They gave me a crown and a scepter that I can't pass on. Someone outside my family will take these things away from me, since no son of mine will take my place as king. If this is true, then I've tortured my conscience and murdered the gracious Duncan for Banquo's sons. I've ruined my own peace for their benefit. I've handed over my everlasting soul to the devil so that they could be kings? Banquo's sons? Kings? Instead of watching that happen, I will challenge fate to battle and fight to the death. Who's there?
So in that monologue, Macbeth is like dealing with his own inner thoughts. He's feeling very conflicted about the choices that he's made. I don't know if you want to add anything, Mrs. Howard.
Yeah, he is not at all comfortable on the throne. He's starting to look around and say, okay, I killed somebody. Is there somebody who's going to be out to get me now? And so he's kind of looking over his shoulder, and he's analyzing and deciding that the only person who's really a threat to him is Banquo.
Right, and he's remembering the original prophecy that said that Banquo's descendants will be kings, and he's like, wait, so I committed murder so that Banquo's kids could be kings? What? That's not okay. So the servant comes back in now with 2 murderers.
Now, go to the door and stay there until I call for you.
The servant leaves again.
Wasn't it just yesterday that we spoke to each other?
It was yesterday, Your Highness.
Well, did you think about what I said? You should know that it was Banquo who made your lives hell for so long, which you always thought was my fault. was innocent. I showed you the proof at our last meeting. I explained to you how you were deceived, how you were thwarted, the things that were used against you, who was working against you, and a lot of other things that would convince even a halfwit or a crazy person to say, Banquo did it.
He's kind of insulting the murderer here a little bit, like even a halfwit or a crazy person.
Yeah.
Yes, you explained it all.
I did that and more, which brings me to the point of this second meeting. Are you so patient and forgiving that you're going to let him off the hook? Are you so pious that you would pray for this man and his children, a man who has pushed you toward an early grave and put your family in poverty forever?
We are men, my lord.
Yes, but you're part of the species called men, just as hounds and greyhounds, mongrels and Spaniards and mutts, shaggy lapdogs, swimming dogs, and wolf dog crossbreeds are all dogs. But if you list the different kinds of dogs according to their qualities, you can distinguish which breeds are fast or slow, which ones are clever, which ones are watchdogs, which ones are hunters. You can classify each dog according to the natural gifts that separate it from all other dogs. It's the same with men. Now, if you occupy some place in the list of men that isn't way down at the very bottom, tell me. Because if that's the case, I will tell you a plan that will get rid of your enemy and bring you closer to me. As long as Banquo lives, I'm sick. I'll be healthy when he's dead.
My lord, I have been so kicked around by the world, and I am so angry. I don't even care what I do. I'm the same. I'm so sick of bad luck and trouble that I'd risk my life on any bet, as long as it would either fix my life or just end it for once and for all.
You both know Banquo was your enemy.
It's true, my lord.
He's my enemy too, and I hate him so much that every minute he's alive, it eats away at my heart. Now, since I'm king, I could simply use my power to get rid of him. But I can't do that because he and I have some friends in common whom I need, so I have to be able to moan and cry over his death in public, even though I'll be the one who had him killed. That's why I need your help right now. I have to hide my real plans from the public eye for many important reasons.
We'll do what you want us to do, my lord. Though our lives...
I see the determination in your eyes. Within the next hour, I'll tell you where to go and exactly when to strike. It must be done tonight, away from the palace. Always remember that I must be free from suspicion. For the plan to work perfectly, you must kill both Banquo and his son Fleance, who keeps him company. Getting rid of Fleance is as important to me as knocking off Banquo. Each of you should make up your own mind about whether you're going to do this. I'll come to you soon.
We have decided, my lord. We're in.
I'll call for you soon. Stay inside.
The murderers exit.
The deal is closed. Banquo, if your soul is going to make it to heaven, tonight's the night.
Macbeth exits as well.
So one of the things that I always like to point out about that exchange is that Macbeth is now as manipulative as Lady Macbeth in a lot of ways. He's questioning their manhood. He's saying, if you're bright enough to understand that this guy is your enemy, you should want to do something about it. Right? And then at the last minute, he slips in, oh yeah, by the way, you got to kill a kid too. Is that cool?
He compares them to dogs as well, which is not a very favorable comparison.
Yeah. He also says, oh, but if you want to be close to me, the king, the powerful person, just do this one little thing for me. Knock off a guy and his son.
All right, so now Lady Macbeth and a servant have entered. Has Banquo left the court?
Yes, madam, but he'll be back tonight.
Go tell the king. I want to talk to him for a few minutes.
No problem, madam.
The servant exits. If you get what you want and you're still not happy, you've spent everything and gained nothing. It's better to be the person who gets murdered than to be the killer and be tormented with anxiety. Macbeth enters. What's going on, my lord? Why are you keeping to yourself with only your sad thoughts to keep you company? These thoughts should have died when you killed these men that you're thinking about. If you can't fix it, you shouldn't give it a second thought. What's done is done.
We have slashed the snake, but not killed it. It will heal and be good as new and will be threatened by its fangs once again. But the universe can fall apart and heaven and earth crumble before I'll eat my meals in fear and spend my nights tossing and turning with these nightmares I've been having. I'd rather be dead than endure this endless mental torture and harrowing sleep deprivation. We killed those men and sent them to rest in peace so that we could gain our own peace. Duncan lies in his grave, though through with life's troubles, and he's sleeping well. We have already done the worst we can do to him with our treason. After that, nothing can hurt him further. Not weapons, poison, rebellion, invasion, or anything else.
Come on, relax, dear. Put on a happy face and look cheerful and agreeable for your guests tonight.
That's exactly what I'll do, my love, and I hope you'll do the same. Give Banquo your special attention. Talk to him and look at him in a way that will make him feel important. We're in a dangerous situation where we have to flatter him and hide our true feelings.
You have to stop talking like this.
Ugh, I feel like my mind is full of scorpions, my dear wife. You know that Banquo and his son Fleance are still alive.
They can't live forever.
That is comforting. They can be killed, it's true. So be cheerful. Before the bat flies through the castle, before the dung beetle makes his little humming noise to tell us it's nighttime, a dreadful deed will be done.
What are you going to do?
It's better you don't know about it until after it's done, when you can applaud it. Come night, blindfold the kind-hearted day. Use your bloody and invisible hand to tear up Banquo's lease on life, which keeps me in fear. The sky's getting dark, and the crow is returning home to the woods. The gentle creatures of the day are falling asleep, while night's predators are waking up to look for their prey. You seem surprised at my words. But don't question me yet. Bad deeds force you to commit more bad deeds. So please, come with me.
They exit, and 2 murderers enter, with a 3rd murderer. But who told you to come here and join us?
Macbeth?
We can trust this guy. He's given exactly the same orders we were. Then stay with us. There's still a bit of daylight in the sky. Now all the late travelers are hurrying to reach their inns. Banquo is almost here.
Listen, I hear horses. Hey, give us some light here.
That must be him. The rest of the king's guests are already inside. You can hear his horse moving around as the servants take them to the stables.
It's almost a mile to the palace gate, but Banquo, like everybody else, usually walks from here to the palace.
Banquo and Fleance enter with a torch. Here comes a light! Here comes a light!
That's him!
Prepare yourselves.
It'll rain tonight.
Then let the rain come down. The murderers attack Banquo.
No. Oh, this is treachery! Get out of here, good Fleance! Run! Someday you can get revenge, oh you bastard!
Banquo dies. Fleance escapes. Good job, Mrs. Howard.
Who put out the light?
Wasn't that the best thing to do?
There's only one body here. The sun ran away.
Oh, we failed in half our mission. Well, let's get out of here and tell Macbeth what we did accomplish. They exit. When they re-enter, the stage is set for a banquet. Macbeth enters with Lady Macbeth, Ross, Lennox, lords, and all the attendants.
You know your ranks, so you know where to sit. Sit down, from the highest to the lowest of you. I bid you a hearty welcome.
Everyone sits down. Thanks to your majesty.
I will walk around and mingle with all of you, playing the humble host. My wife will stay in her royal chair, but at the appropriate time I will have her welcome you all.
Say welcome to all of our friends for me, sir. In my heart, they are all welcome. The first murderer appears at the door.
They respond to you with their hearts as well. The table is full on both sides. I will sit here in the middle. Be free and happy. Soon we will toast round the table.
Approaching the door and speaking only to the murderer.
There's blood on your face.
Then it must be Banquo's.
I'd rather see his blood splattered on your face than flowing through his veins. Did you finish him off?
My lord, his throat is cut. I did that to him.
You are the best of the cutthroats. But whoever did the same to Fleance must also be good. If you cut both their throats, then you are the absolute best.
My royal sir, Fleance has escaped.
I'm scared again. Otherwise, I would have been perfect, as solid as a piece of marble, as firm as a rock, as free as the air itself. But now, all tangled up with doubts and fears. But Banquo's death has been taken care of.
Yes, my good lord, he's lying dead in a ditch with 20 deep gashes in his head, any one of which would be enough to kill him.
Thanks for that. The adult snake lies in the ditch. The young snake that escaped will in time become poisonous and threatening, but for now he has no fangs. Get out of here. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.
The murderer leaves. Lady Macbeth, my royal lord, you're not entertaining our guests. If you don't make your guests know that they're welcome, they'll feel like they're paying for their meal. When you just want to eat, it's better to do that at home. When you're eating out with people, you need to have a little more ceremony. Otherwise, dinner parties would be boring.
It's nice of you to remind me. Since good digestion requires good appetite, and good health requires both of those, here's to good appetites, good digestion, and good health.
Why don't you have a seat, your highness? The ghost of Banquo enters and sits in Macbeth's place.
We would have all the nobility of Scotland gathered under one roof. If only Banquo were here. I hope he turns out he's late out of rudeness and not because something bad has happened to him.
His absence means he's broken his promise, sir. If it pleases you, your highness, why don't you sit with us and grace us with your royal company?
But the table's full.
Here's an empty seat, sir.
Where?
Pointing to where the ghost sits. Here, my good lord. What's wrong, your highness?
Which one of you did this?
What, my good lord?
You can't say I did it. Don't shake your bloody head at me.
Macbeth is really kind of freaking out here because he's the only one that sees the ghost in the chair. Everyone else just sees an empty chair. It's kind of like the dagger thing.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, stand up. His highness is not well. Oh, sit down, worthy friends. My husband is often like this, and he's been like this since he was a child. Please stay seated. This is just a little fit. In a moment, he'll be well again. If you pay too much attention to him, you'll make him angry, and that will make his convulsions go on even longer. Eat your dinner. Pay no attention to him. Speaking so only Macbeth can hear. Are you a man?
Yes, and a brave one who dares look at something that would frighten the devil.
Oh, that's nonsense. Just another one of your hallucinations that you always get when you're afraid. This is just like that floating dagger you said was leading you to Duncan. These outbursts of yours don't even look like real fear. They're more like how you would act if you were a woman telling a scary story by the fireside in front of her grandmother. Shame on you. Why are you making these faces? When the vision passes, you'll see you're just looking at a regular stool.
Please, just look over there. Look, see? What do you have to say? What do I care?
He's talking
If
to
you
the
could
ghost.
nod and speak too, if the dead are going to return from their graves, then there's nothing to stop the birds from eating the bodies. So there's no point in burying people.
Now the ghost has vanished. What? Has foolishness paralyzed you completely? Get it together.
As sure as I'm standing here, I saw him.
Nonsense.
In ancient times, before there were laws to make the land safe and peaceful, a lot of blood was spilled. Yes, and since then, murders have been committed that are too awful to talk about. It used to be that when you knocked a man's brains out, he would just die, and that would be it. But now they rise from the dead with 20 fatal head wounds and push us off our stools? This haunting business is even stranger than murder.
My worthy lord, your noble friends miss your company.
Forgot about them. Don't be alarmed on my account, my most worthy friends. I have a strange disorder, which no longer shocks those who know me well. Raising his... Come, let's drink a toast. Love and health to you all. Now, I'll sit down. Give me some wine. Fill up my cup.
Not really sure Macbeth needs to be drinking anymore at this point, but he's trying to save face. Now the ghost of Banquo is going to reappear and sit at the table. He's probably going to freak out again.
I drink to the happiness of everyone at the table, and to our dear friend Banquo, whom we miss. I wish he were here. Let's drink to everyone here and to Banquo. Now, everybody, drink.
Here, here. They drink. Now Macbeth is just talking to the ghost here.
Go, get out of my sight. Stay in your grave. There's no marrow in your bones, and your blood is cold. You're staring at me with eyes that have no power to see.
Good friends, think of this as nothing more than a strange habit. It's nothing else. Too bad it's spoiling our pleasure tonight.
I'm as brave as any other man. Come at me in the form of a rugged Russian bear, an armor-plated rhinoceros, or a tiger from Iran. Take any shape other than the one that you have now, and I will never tremble in fear. Or come back to life again and challenge me to a duel in some deserted place. If I tremble then, you can call me a little girl. Get out of here, you horrible ghost. You hallucination. Get out!
The ghost vanishes.
I am a man again. Pray you, sit still. Look, now that it's gone, I'm a man again. Please, remain seated.
You have ruined our good cheer and disrupted this gathering by making a spectacle of yourself.
Can things like this happen so suddenly without making us all astonished? You make me feel like I don't know myself. When I see you looking at these terrible things, keeping a straight face, while my face has gone white with fear?
What things, my lord? Please, don't speak to him. He's getting worse and worse. Talk makes him crazy. Everybody, just please leave right now. Don't bother exiting in order of your rank. Just leave right away. Good night. I hope the king recovers soon. A kind good night to all. Everyone leaves, except Macbeth and Lady Macbeth.
There's an old saying, the dead will have their revenge. Gravestones have been known to move, trees to speak, to bring guilty men to justice. The craftiest murderers have been exposed by the mystical signs made by crows and magpies. How late in the night is it?
It's almost morning. You can't tell whether it's day or night.
Yeah. Sorry, my page just skipped a whole bunch.
Page 41. So while we wait for Mrs. Howard to find her spot, so Macbeth just freaked out so badly that Lady Macbeth was like, you know what? We can't even save this. Like, we just have to send everyone home. He's just going to keep losing it. This is another time when she kind of really challenges his masculinity in front of everyone. Like this entire dinner scene, she's been questioning his masculinity, at times literally outright. She had a line, "Are you a man?" But he's saying, yes, I'm a man. Come at me in any other way and you'll see how strong and brave I am. I could fight you as a tiger. I could fight you as a bear. I could fight you as a man even, And so this is kind of establishing that, that challenge, of like what it means to be a man and what masculinity is here. Again, when he encounters Banquo's ghost. And so then they're going to talk more about Macbeth's worries that are plaguing him here.
And part of the reason that they have to have this banquet in the first place is because Macbeth is not in a politically stable situation right now. And so he needs all the help from all of his lords that he can get. They named him king because the sons of the king actually fled. So they thought they were guilty. But Macbeth really needs to stabilize his kingdom. And so he needed this banquet to go really well for political reasons. And he flipped out. And so it's not going well.
He doesn't really seem like a super stable leader. And it's like day one as his job as king. So, yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think about the fact that Macduff refuses to come to me when I command him?
Did you send for him, sir?
I've heard about this indirectly, but I will send for him. In every one of the Lord's households, I have a servant paid to spy for me. Tomorrow, while it's still early, I will go to see the witches. They will tell me more because I'm determined to know the worst about what's going to happen. My own safety is the only important thing now. I've walked so far in this river of blood that even if I stopped now, it would be as hard to go back to being good as it is to keep killing people. I have some schemes in my head that I'm planning to put into action. I have to do these things before I have a chance to think about them.
You haven't slept.
Yes. Let's go to sleep. My strange self-delusions just come from inexperience. We're still just beginners when it comes to this crime.
So they leave. And now, because every time there's witches, it's spooky, there's thunder, and the 3 witches enter, meeting Hecate.
Who is their boss? She's like the head, she's the actually goddess of magic.
And witchcraft. And
witchcraft, yeah.
So, what's wrong, Hecate? You look angry.
Don't I have a reason to be angry, you disobedient hags? How dare you give Macbeth riddles and prophecies about his future without telling me? I am your boss and the source of your powers. I am the one who secretly decides what evil things happen. But you never called me to join in and show off my own powers. And what's worse, you've done all this for a man who behaves like a spoiled brat. Angry and hateful. Like all spoiled sons, he chases after what he wants and doesn't care about you at all. But you can make it up to me. Go away now, and in the morning meet me in the pit by the river in hell. Macbeth will go there to learn his destiny. You bring your cauldrons, your spells, your charms, and everything else. I'm about to fly away. I'll spend tonight working to make something horrible happen. I have a lot to do before noon. An important droplet is hanging from the corner of the moon. I'll catch it before it falls to the ground. Then I'll work it over with magic spells. The drop will produce magical spirits that will trick Macbeth with illusions. He will be fooled into thinking that he is greater than fate. He will mock death, and he will think he is above wisdom, grace, and fear. As you all know, overconfidence is man's greatest enemy.
Music plays off stage, and voices sing a song with the words, "Come away, come away."
Listen, I'm being called. Look, my little spirit is sitting in a foggy cloud waiting for me.
Hecate exits. Come on, let's hurry. She'll be back again soon. They all exit. Now, Lennox and another lord enter. What I've already said shows you that we think alike, so you can draw your own conclusions. All I'm saying is that strange things have been going on. Macbeth pitied Duncan after Duncan was dead, and Banquo went out walking too late at night. If you like, we can say that Fleance must have killed him because Fleance fled the scene of the crime. Clearly, men should not go out walking too late. And who can help thinking how monstrous it was for Malcolm and Donalbain to kill their gracious father? Such a heinous crime. How it saddened Macbeth. Wasn't it loyal of him to kill those servants right away while they were still drunk and asleep? That was the right thing to do, wasn't it? Yes, and it was the wise thing, too, because we would have all been outraged to hear these two deny their crime. Considering all this, I think Macbeth has handled things well. If he had Duncan's sons in prison, which I hope won't happen, they would find out how awful the punishment is for those who kill their fathers, and so would Fleance. But enough of that. I hear that Macduff is out of favor with the king because he speaks his mind too plainly, and because he failed to show up at Macbeth's feast. Can you tell me where he's hiding himself?
So let's talk a minute about that, because that is, I think, is one of the most confusing passages in the entire play, right? Look at it again and think about sarcasm, right? Lennox here does not like Macbeth. He does not trust Macbeth, and he is trying really hard to kind of gauge where the other lord is without fully revealing too much that could be damning for him.
Right. Remember when we talked about the themes of this play, we talked about masculinity and equivocation. So if you remember, equivocation is like when you tell the truth, but also like just a little bit of the truth, you know? And so he is speaking the truth as it is known right now, but not as he believes it, you know? So he's like, gosh, isn't it convenient that Macbeth killed the guards? Because that's what we would all do, right? We wouldn't want them to be able to deny their crimes. And gosh, isn't it terrible that he went walking at night? Nobody should go out walking at night. Clearly, that's the wrong thing to do. And so he's trying to keep the line that he thinks that other people would maintain, so that he doesn't seem like he's out of step, but at the same time, there's kind of an undertone of, as she said, sarcasm here. You can tell that he doesn't actually believe these things. He is suspicious of Macbeth. He wants to know about Macduff because he's kind of looking to ally himself against Macbeth. And he's kind of trying to figure out how he can position himself in this way. If you remember, one of the other times that we met Lennox, he was commenting on how terrible the night had been and how he had never experienced something like this in his life. So he's kind of been picking up on the unrest and the discord in the story the entire time that his character has existed.
Yeah, and the line that tells us that we know for sure that he's actually against Macbeth is when he says, if he had Duncan's sons in prison, which I hope he wouldn't happen, right? He's kind of rooting for Duncan's sons. And so that's how we know which side of the line Lennox is actually falling on. Because he wants to keep Duncan's sons out of Macbeth's prison because he knows exactly what would happen to them if they were in Macbeth's prison.
Right.
All right. Lord. Duncan's son Malcolm, whose birthright and throne Macbeth has stolen, lives in the English court. There, the saintly King Edward treats Malcolm so well that despite Malcolm's misfortunes, he's not deprived of respect. Macduff went there to ask King Edward for help. He wants Edward to help him form an alliance with the people of Northumberland and their lord Seward. Can't remember how to pronounce that. Macbeth hopes that with their help and with the help of God above, he may once again put food on our tables, bring peace back to our nights, free our feasts and banquets from violent murders, and allow us to pay proper homage to our king and receive honors freely. Those are the things we pine for now. Macbeth has heard this news, and he is angry that he's preparing for war.
Did he tell Macduff to return to Scotland?
He did, but Macduff told the messenger, no way. The messenger scowled and rudely turned his back on Macduff as if to say, you'll regret the day you gave me this answer.
That might well keep Macduff away from Scotland. Some holy angel should go to the court of England and give Macduff a message. He should return quickly to free our country, which is suffering under a tyrant.
I'll send my prayers with him.
They all exit.
You can see that the second lord, whoever this generic lord guy is not trying to go on either line, right? He's picked up on Lennox's sarcasm, and he feels safe totally letting Lennox know which side of the line he's on. Well, and he praises Duncan's son Malcolm, and he says he's in England. And one of the things that we find out later about King Edward is that King Edward is like this with God, right? They say with God's help above, with the help of God above, like King Edward is super tight. And so we talked about that chain of being as there's God, and then there's the king, and then there's the nobles, and then there's everybody else. Well, in order to kind of defeat this usurper, Macbeth, they're going to go after a king who is holier than this king.
And right? The witches are at the bottom, right? Because they talk about how they're going to meet at the pit of hell, right? So if God is here, and the king is here, and people, the witches would be like down here, right? Because they're gaining their power from beneath rather than above. Yes. And so that is an interesting, addition to the dynamic, right?
So we're literally having like good versus evil here. So in some ways, Shakespeare is taking this story from a simple, one guy killing another guy for his throne and making it this epic, huge tale of good versus evil.
Morality, if you remember, Banquo says, I'll stick with you if I can do it with a clean conscience. Mm-hmm. And then that same day, Macbeth kills him. So it doesn't last very long. Macbeth's like, okay, well, you can't. So sorry. Yeah. And that's where Act 3 ends. So we'll pick up Act 4 next week. But that's where Act 3 ends. So Act 3 ends with Lennox saying, well, some angel must just go tell him we need him to help us because we're in deep trouble. Macbeth is feeling very unsettled. He's really upset that Macduff won't come. He's not going to like it when Macduff does come. But he's just, he's very unsettled. Lady Macbeth is very unsettled. She doesn't like the way her husband is acting. Banquo is dead. Fleance is still alive. So everything is just kind of very tumultuous right now. Macbeth is asked to meet the witches again. The witches are going to meet him, but their god is involved now, and it's not going to go the way that he wants either. So we're really feeling this like theme of equivocation right now. Everyone thinks that things are going their way right now, but it's going to come to a head pretty intensely in the next act.
So one of the other things that we usually need to talk about with Act 3 is that it is the climax, right? Whenever Shakespeare writes a play, he writes it in 5 acts. The first act is the exposition, the second act is the rising action, and the third act is the climax, right? So basically, things are going Macbeth's way right up until about the moment when he decides that he has to murder more people, right? Until he freaks out in front of all of the lords, and then his political power starts to tip, right? They're starting to lean away from him, and we can see in this last scene here with Lennox and the Lord that they're not going with him anymore.
Right.
And so
he had them until he started
action and resolution in the next 2 acts.
He started hallucinating at the dinner table, and it kind of just slid downhill for him after that.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to see that fall from grace if he ever had that. In
from sanity at any rate.
In the coming weeks. So, all right. Well, thank you. Stay tuned.